Good morning. Thanks everybody for being here. I want to just give a quick update on some events from yesterday and today. Working through yesterday, we were pursuing a new idea that we have been working on with several folks on the use of general obligation bonds in a bonding bill for the Viking Stadium or portions of that. It had significant support in our caucus and was a path forward. We thought that perhaps getting done and getting out had some interest from different corners of the caucus, then pursued it with some folks outside in the Vikings organization and others to see if this might perhaps help us get through. We then proposed that to our caucuses, where we had some strong appetite for that as a means to get through some of the oppositions and stumbling blocks of the current bill. Some of that got out a little early, and there was some misperceptions about the intent of that. It was an earnest effort to try to actually get this thing done and to get us done for the session. We had then met with the governor's staff yesterday, the governor, Minority Leader Thiessen and Majority Leader Bach, and what we had discovered was that that there was perhaps, once we described that to Minority Leader Bach and Thiessen, that there was at least, okay, this is what you're trying to do, we understand, let's vet this. We then met yesterday afternoon with officials from Minneapolis and also from the Vikings and a lot of their fiscal folks to vet this, agreeing with Governor Dayton that let's put our shoulder to the wheel, and if we can find if this is fiscally doable and structurally doable, that we could move forward. And if not, then we wouldn't. We met for several hours yesterday and came very close. I think there's areas of agreement with the parties involved, but and then when we began working with MMB, it became clear that there was some hurdles within that particular arrangement about using general obligation bonds that might make it difficult for both the city and for the Vikings in terms of their current agreement to move forward with this. Because of those impediments, and we said that we would only move forward with a bill that we could get support from all parties with, that we will not be bringing that forward as a bonding proposal. It may be part of a solution, but we do not want to move something forward that is not going to stand the test of scrutiny with MMB and moving forward. So we will not be doing that at this time.
And from the standpoint of a good idea with a great effort, I compliment the Majority Leader on at least trying something. What we've been trying to do throughout this whole session is to find ways to get to at least 68 votes in the House and 34 in the Senate in order to pass the governor's #1 priority. Senator Senjum and I, who's the 24th and 25th, met with the governor, talked about just some real broad stuff. Tax bill at about $52 million, bonding bill at around $496 million, with the capital included in there. Thought we had a gentleman's agreement, a handshake agreement. There were a couple of things we weren't too sure about. Came back the next morning, thought we had agreement, and then subsequently it broke down and did not have an agreement. The way this place works, if you help somebody else with their #1 priority, and to be clear, said it many times here, my #1 priority is to help small business owners. That's why I ran for this office. My dad's a small business owner, travels around the world trying to get projects here, there, and everywhere in order to make a living as a small business owner. My mom and my stepdad farm, a 130-plus-year-old farm. Every single day, they're out there trying to do what they can to either provide a service or produce something for a lot of people. That's why I ran for office, is to help them. I will not apologize for that being my #1 priority this session. There are other priorities from our caucus members: education reform, government reform, tax relief for homeowners, especially for middle-class homeowners, as well as for businesses, to make Minnesota more competitive. We've said it once, we've probably said it 1,000 times, that that's what we care most about down here, is making sure that Minnesota's economy is competitive for all business owners. I would say that also that there's a very big priority, obviously, for Senator Senjum, is to fix up our crumbling infrastructure. Make some of these guys back here with hard hats on, put them back, get them off the bench, and get them back to work. Crumbling infrastructure puts those guys back to work. Paint and wallpaper, it's cute for after they're done, but they want to work on concrete, rebar, and steel. That's what our bonding bill has in it. Those were our priorities. You garner the support for your top priority, which the stadium absolutely unequivocally is the governor's #1 priority, his only priority this session. You garner support from the legislature, Democrats, Republicans alike, for your priority by helping them realize their priorities. At just about every turn, with a few exceptions, our priorities have either been disrespected or dismissed. Whether it be LIFO, which I don't think has been vetoed yet, but the governor's been very clear he's going to veto that. The education shift payback, tort reform so that abusive lawsuits don't take over dollars that Minnesota business owners could use to produce either more jobs or hire more people. Some of the initiatives that we have in reforming the way government works. There's been a couple, tax bill, I don't know if the governor has said officially, but not exactly thrilled with that. That's tax relief for small business owners. At least the Democrats on the House floor recommended that he veto the bill. Bipartisan bill, but recommending a veto. So you help folks get their top priority, you'll gain their support for your top priority. But at a number of different cases all session long, the governor has either been disrespectful or dismissive to a number of legislators, not just Republicans, but Democrats as well, top priority. So from my standpoint, we've lived up to our end of the obligation. When Dave and I had a handshake agreement, we said that if we could have our priorities at least addressed, looked at, that the governor's priority would also be addressed. I'm going to keep my word. We'll be having a vote on the Vikings Stadium on Monday. The Vikings and the governor believe that the votes are there. At this point, it's going to be up to him to gain the votes. These things, stadiums, whether it be for professional baseball, hockey, or football, rise and fall on the will and the ability of a governor to not only sell but deliver votes. I don't know that there are the votes in the Republican caucus for the votes at this point. The Vikings have said they believe they are, as well as the governor's office, or at least the minority leaders in both bodies. The vote will take forward on Monday. I've said many times I'm trying to stay out of being a political reason for people to vote either for or against the bill. I can say as the bill sits right now, the cost overruns being paid for by the taxpayer, I don't think are a fair deal. I said many times that it should be a good deal for the taxpayers. The team not paying at least 50% of the price is a problem for me as well. And if there is no vote by the Minneapolis residents, I don't think that's fair. It was the reason I voted against the Twins bill. And if those provisions are continued in here, I will not be able to support the bill. So with that, we'll have also a bonding bill on Monday, again, to give the guys in the back with the hard hats some work. Last time we didn't have the support of the Democrat caucus. I hope they'll go find a fellow Democrat legislator, ask them to vote for the bill. It will be very similar to last year. Let Senator Senjum and the minority leads also work out some of those details. But it'll be vanilla. It'll be concrete, steel, rebar, not paint and not wallpaper. But it'll be infrastructure only. It will be focused on the crumbling needs that our state has, the things that they need to have fixed up. It will not add to our burden. It will not take and make specific projects a priority over those of either a greater good, a University of Minnesota project, a Minsky project, a wastewater treatment facility. So that's the game plan for, or the layout for not only this week, for the rest of this week, but also for Monday. Senator Senjum?
Thank you, Kurt. Now, I'll be brief. As we put forward our tax bill today and sent it on to the governor, I would just say this: Governor, sign that tax bill. Sign that tax bill. That's a good tax bill. It can move Minnesota forward. It can do the thing the speaker has talked about in the sense of growing jobs in the economy in Minnesota. It needs to be signed. Governor, I would implore you, sign that tax bill. It's good for Minnesota. And then just moving forward to the infrastructure bill, we'll be having that on the floor as well today, and it's a good bill, I think, from the standpoint of core infrastructure for the state of Minnesota. It's MnSCU, University of Minnesota, roads, bridges, sewer and water systems, floods, a lot of good things in that bill that will, frankly, help a lot of people back to work. And it's an important bill for Minnesota. And once again, Governor, I would urge you to contact the DFL side of certainly our Minnesota Senate, get support for that. And help us pass that bill. It's important. It'll put people in the back of the room and others, thousands of others, back to work. That's what we want. We want to move this state forward.
So, Mr. Speaker, are you saying unequivocally you are not going to support this stadium bill, and is that your position now?
I cannot.
You will not support it?
Cannot.
Even if it's
Can you elaborate on
amended, even if it were amended to your liking on the House, there's nothing they could do to make you support?
Well, again, I've said I wasn't going to answer hypotheticals, so being that seems to be a big sticking point for lots of people, as it is right now, I cannot.
Can you elaborate on
Leader
the
Dean,
fact
you
that
said
teams not
yesterday
paying?
there are several other possibilities out there for the stadium. Are you not bringing anything else up, or is this it? This is your effort, and now you're going with the bill that's on the floor?
Well, we took our best shot, Don, and the Vikings, and particularly Mayor Rybeck, who was personally involved, really took his best shot to get an alternative that was workable. But we all agreed that it's a sincere effort. It needs to be 100% workable and doable from a bonding perspective. And so, in that vein, if we couldn't get it to that point, it's only fair to the members and fair to everyone to vote on the existing plan, because that's the alternative, and to move forward, which was the preference of both the city and the team.
So no more options. It's either the one that didn't work out or the one that's on the floor. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Don, I think there's an opportunity for amendments on the floor, which I'm sure there are. You've covered enough stadiums. I'm sure you know probably better than I what those are and what's in store. And that's the business that it is, and that's how we try to improve bills, both from the majority and the minority. And we're open to talking with the city of Minneapolis and the Vikings to make any improvements that we can to continue to improve this. I should also say that our discussions yesterday were purely about whether or not mechanically we can use this financing mechanism, not about cost or anything else. It was just, does this work or doesn't it? We all agreed that that was our goal. If we could get to that goal, we would move on, and if we couldn't, we wouldn't. So our caucus wants to keep that commitment that we're not interested in moving it forward unless it was 100% viable. From the information that we received, unfortunately, from MMB just made it too big a hill to climb. But again, we took our best shot.
Can you elaborate on
Senator
that?
Sanchez, what is the exact nature of the problem with MMB? Why doesn't this fit the general definition of bonding?
Sure. There was 3 major concerns. Number one, we said, is this a bondable project? And in order, our first response was that it was, in fact, because it's publicly owned. But the way that it was constructed with the use of who would be hiring the contractors was an issue, and whether we could use those bonds. Also, the duration of the bonds was a real issue, which was another big sticking point with just the project in general. And we were very, very close in terms of an agreement on this is a good idea. We could get together and pay for infrastructure. We can do this. The dollars we didn't discuss, but I think that was within the realm. So we were very close there. But it was just purely a mechanical issue of being able to do this in a way that would stand up over time And we agreed that if we couldn't come together on that, that we wouldn't move it forward.
Senator
Follow up,
Senchum,
isn't it true,
you've been
is it true that
supportive-
it's supposed to be the limit is 20 years on general obligation bond, which would have been a 15-year lease? Was that the problem?
It was the discrepancy there. That is exactly correct. That was
Senator
one
Senchum.
of 3 issues.
You've been a supporter of the electronic poll tax plan. Do you think it has the votes to pass?
You know, I don't know right now. We've not really whipped this more recently, and so we'll see. It's again, I would go along with the speaker. It's at this point we've got a core of Viking lobbyists out there, and they've got to search for votes and find them.
Do you share the speaker's position that you're going to be agnostic in these efforts, or will you push to get this get votes for it?
I think you know, if this thing comes over, we don't know what form it's going to come over with. It'll come over in some form, I would believe, but perhaps not. We don't know that, and so I think we're just going to keep our option open. And you know, if it does get over here, it's we're going to talk about it certainly within our caucus. I'm not going to presuppose anything at this point.
What's the timing for the Senate vote?
Could I just, I'm sorry, Steve, to that point too, very clearly, I will not do anything to stand in the way of any of our members, and I mean Democrat or Republican members of the legislature who do want to support it. I won't be out there advocating for it, as I've said all along. You know, in this case, I believe everybody in their caucuses are all free agents, if you'll pardon the pun. I mean, I will do absolutely nothing to stand in the way of any member of the legislature who wants to vote for it and support the stadium as it is, or as it comes off the House floor.
Can you clarify the logistics in your chamber? Are you waiting for the House file to come over? Are you also planning to take Vikings and bonding Monday in your chamber?
No, we'll be waiting for the House file to come over. That's again, it's got to get here. I don't think the speaker has suggested that it's an absolute. Everyone's on their own apparently over there. So we'll see what we'll see if it gets here, and if it does, why you'll take we'll take it up.
Bonding bill, sorry, if I could follow up, bonding bill Monday is.
I think we're going to try to take that one up today yet.
Today.
Yeah, we'll see. We're prepared to do it. Oops. Yes, I'm sorry.
Is the House doing the bonding?
They said
Oops, the wrong way here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, we're going to take up, again, the similar proposal. If the Senate takes it up today and is able to pass it over to us, then we can, act on it still today, but that'll all depend on timing.
Senator Senchum, this would be a Senate file coming
Right.
back to your chamber. So if it were to pass the House, then even if the Senate failed to concur, it would then go to conference committee, correct?
You're talking about the stadium bill?
Stadium, yes.
Yes. Mhm.
Senator Senchum, is the bonding bill, are you taking up the same one that you've had before, the $496 million, or do you have a new one that you're putting?
No, it's an agreed upon bill with the House. So it wouldn't be what has been out there.
What's the size
What's
of
the
this
size?
one?
It's 496. Capital within.
Is the chance for negotiations with the governor over? Do you have any chance to meet with him today? Is there any chance to work a deal with these 3 components?
Well, I mean,
We're here. We're always interested in talking, but
Is anything scheduled? Anything-
I'm not sure, as we left the other day, that there is a lot more to talk about. The governor knows we're here. Some of the people are probably watching this press conference. If he's got some things to talk about, let's talk.
The stadium was a huge push in the business community. Do you feel like you've let them down in any way by having it sort of come to this?
no, I mean, it's going to come to a vote. I mean, I think that's what they had asked for. That's what the Vikings had asked for. The Vikings believe they have the votes in both bodies to pass the bill. So, and again, all these stadiums rise and fall on the ability of the governor to convince the legislature, Republican and Democrat. Governor Plenty, he did that when the Twins bill went through. So it will the fate of the stadium is now in the governor's hands. This is his top priority, his number one priority for the session. Very clearly, I was able to convince him, a couple of our top priorities, some of the regulatory reform. He hasn't vetoed LIFO yet, so I'll hold out hope, but doesn't look too good. It's on life support and fading fast. But that's the nature of this business, is that you have your priorities, the other side has their priorities, whether it's House, Senate, Republican, Democrat, governor. You try to get your priorities enacted. I think they were all priorities for all Minnesotans. We heard very loud and clear, go down there, try and help the Minnesota economy, make us more competitive, make us a better state, fix the crumbling infrastructure, make sure these guys get off the bench and go back to work. You know, we tried that not once this year, but now we'll have tried for the second time to pass a bonding bill. You know, we were a couple votes short the last time. You know, hopefully this time we will be able to pass it. I'll be voting for the bonding bill, and I don't think I voted for many of them down here. I want those guys to go back to work. I want them off the bench. They work, this economy picks up, we're a better state for it. And that's our priorities, no doubt about it. You've all sat through it more than once and heard me talk about small business owners that are asking for an upfront equipment exemption, who are asking for some property tax relief, who are asking for, you know, down the list. I talked to a guy in Alexandria that said that he actually, you know, he talked to some of the contractors he worked with and says, by God, I don't know what you guys at the Capitol did, but permits are actually going out now. You know, we don't have to wait for weeks on end. He goes, we might actually get some extra projects in the summer. That is an accomplishment to me. That's what I came down here to do.
Where's the disconnect here? We saw this last summer on the shutdown. This is sort of the sequel. A lot of people who are watching this outside of the Capitol are throwing up their hands saying, why can't these guys do anything together? What's going on? Where's the disconnect?
Well, again, it's just a difference of opinion. It's a fundamental disagreement on some of these things. Last year, his priority was raising taxes. Ours was balancing the budget without a tax increase. Over the interim, we went out and listened to small business owners, asked them, what can we do to make you more productive in the state of Minnesota? The governor tried to unionize daycares. I mean, it's fine. I'm not saying he shouldn't do what he believes in his heart are his #1 priorities, but those were our priorities. And our priorities coming into this session were, again, helping small business owners, whether it's regulatory or tax relief, making sure that our crumbling infrastructure is repaired, and then making sure that we reform the way government works. Just because we've done it this way for the last 30, 40, 50 years doesn't mean we can't change it. And then, you know, personally, one of my absolute highest priorities is making sure that we have the best teachers in the classroom to make sure that our kids get the absolute best education possible. And whether that's LIFO, whether it's, you know, teacher review, principal review, whatever it is, we need to do better by our students. So for those people out there watching, you know, that's fine. That's why they sent, you know, Mark Dayton, the Democrat, and, you know, the 2 Republican House and Senate majorities down here, and, you know, voters got what they asked for.
If the stadium and the bonding bill do not pass on Monday, are you done? Do you go out that day?
Well, I mean, if they don't pass, I mean, let's just wait and see. I mean, we don't presuppose anything at this point.
You have nothing planned beyond Monday?
No.
Will the stadium vote be timed so that you will know what the governor does on the tax bill before you take that vote?
No, we passed the tax bill last week. The Senate hopefully, you know, will pass it out today. So no, and the bonding bill will pass regardless of what he does in the tax bill. I mean, it's not fair to those guys back there we've tried again now. This will be our next attempt at passing the bonding bill. It'll include a lot of infrastructure. It'll include a lot of things that are in disrepair that need to be fixed. Roads, bridges, some, you know, flood mitigation. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that are good. So we're going to pass those bills either way. We can't pass the bonding bill on our own. We're going to need some Democrat votes. So hopefully they will vote for that bill either, you know, in the House or the Senate, and we'll pass them out.
So have you talked to Democrats about that since you came up with this new plan?
Well, Senator Langston and I went through you know, our plans on Sunday, so I mean we've cross compared there. I think generally they were pretty close at 496.
Mr. Speaker, can you elaborate on? You said one of your objections is the team is not putting up half, and they were careful with the math to make it over 30 years, so that it came out 51% for the Vikings and something 49 for the state. What's your analysis? What do you
well,
mean
just the math that just the total on the construction.
What is the House bonding bill that you'll be voting on? What is the total size with this?
Just the same, exactly the same as that. The one that we'd agreed with the governor on a handshake that was 496, include the Capitol, you know, the pieces, parts to be worked with Senator Langseth, Representative Howes, and Representative Hausman.
Is that $77 million on the Capitol?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, are you done negotiating with the governor? Are you just going to pass bills off the
Oh,
floor
no,
now and
never.
send them to him?
No, never. I mean, you know, Tom, I'm the eternal optimist. I think it's going to be sunny out there in 10 minutes. I think there's always an opportunity, but again, you know, we can only ask so many times, and when you're told no so many times, you know, then it's not worth anybody's time or anybody to waste anybody's time. So we'll ask. I'll be available, you know, all this weekend, throughout the day today. We're going to be on the floor for a while, but we'll be available like we have been. We were here last weekend as well, just in case. But No, I'll absolutely never say no to a conversation, to working with whether it be Democrats or Republicans. Alice Hausman, the DFL lead in the bonding committee, has stopped me in the garage at the SOB, on the floor of the Capitol, out in the front of the Capitol, to ask to work on the project. And I think she'll like what this. I don't want to say, but I think she and Representative Howes have had some conversations about what the bill would look like. But we'll make sure she's consulted before that bill comes up.
Mr. Speaker, you keep referencing the guys in the back,
Yeah.
saying they want to get back to work.
Yeah.
Looks to me they want to go build a stadium. They don't. Seriously, they're all, even all the people up in the House.
Actually, the best thing for them, guys, I tell you, go get the Mall of America TIF. That's about 14,000 jobs, and it's a lot longer project. So just my advice to you, lobby for the TIF. It's in the tax bill. That'll pass off the House floor or the Senate floor today, hopefully. The TIF bill's got a lot longer time period and a bigger price tag. So if I were you, I'd hit them up for that tax bill, because that TIF for the Mall of America is a really big project. But all of them would be a good idea. But now it's with those members who want to support all those projects. I'm with you guys on the TIF bill. I already voted for that one, and I'll be with you on the bonding bill when it comes up.
Senator Senjum, I just want to ask you, as you know, Save Rochester's #1 priority is the Mayo Civic Center. Is it in this new bonding proposal?
No, it's not, nor are many local projects. Again, the center point of all of this is, core infrastructure projects, University of Minnesota, MnSCU, roads, bridges, asset preservation sprinkled throughout for all of the state agencies, but does not include any local civic centers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I gotta go over and say thank you.